It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. I had a message from Daniel at Overtone Brewing Company, and he was super excited for a beer that they just produced. And he was like, Simon, what's your telephone number? I need to get this beer down to you. And I'd been away for a few hours, and he was like, Simon, on Facebook, I need your telephone number. I need to send you this beer. It is, I'm just excited for it. I really wanted to try it. So 4 cans arrive. I just put it on Instagram just yesterday. So he was saying it's super fresh, super excited about this beer. So I'm naturally excited about this beer. And thank you to Overtone Brewing Company for sending. This is their Overtone Southern Hemisphere New England IPA, coming in at 6.6% ABV in a 440 milliliter can. We'll give you all of the hops, the malts and the yeast in a moment, but first let's get the beer out into a glass and see what we get. A little bit of smoke on the can opening, beer in the glass then. Southern Hemisphere is quite a clever name, meaning kind of, in my mind anyway, New Zealand, Australia, that sort of kind of area. So perhaps, I've not looked at myself at the hops. I'm going to take a wild stab at it. Perhaps they're like Kiwi hops and Australian hops. But look at this beer. I'm as excited as Daniel from Overtone Brewing Company here. We got a 2-finger whitehead. Good levels of carbonation. It's a hazy, almost like a kind of a yellow yogurty kind of looking beer. Pale haze, that's what I'm going to call it. Pale haze. Good carbonation in the glass. It's been built so well. I mean, there's no chunks and bumps in this glass of beer. It's micro unfiltered, but it's properly unfiltered, as you can see. Let's get the aroma. Juice, like they've sent it out. They must have done some fantastic cold conditioning. These guys really know their stuff. I've been banging on about Overtone Brewing Company for a long time now. They know their stuff. If they sent me this beer any earlier, or if the better word for it would have been, if they packaged it in a can any earlier, it would have been green. It's that fresh. They've waited to the perfect moment to can this beer. You can almost smell the greenness. You know, where it's too early. But it's not in the aroma anyway. It's not too early. It's perfect. It's that split-second sector at Silverstone that gets Lewis Hamilton on the front of the grid millimetre perfect. That's what it seems to me in the aroma. It's pineapple, grapefruit, orange peel, fleshy blood orange, kiwi, all of them wonderful, juicy. It's like putting your face into a punch bowl of fruits. Let's dive in. Cheers. Oh my goodness me. Oh. Ooh. Stone the Crows! Stone the Crows, what a fantastic beer. Oh, absolutely wonderful. Super fresh. Juicy, tart. Little bit of sweetness from the malt. You get the oats coming through. And then there's right now, as I'm speaking right now, a lovely rolling bitterness that just kind of, it makes you grit your teeth, but at the same time you're loving it, you know. It's like, it's not a crazy amount of bitterness. It's not like your old-fashioned kind of, I guess call it old-fashioned, your 100 IBUs kind of crazy bitterness. It's more like a lovely rolling bitterness that just builds and builds and builds and builds and complements. This is the biggest thing. Complements all of those grapefruits and pineapples and orange peels and fleshy blood orange. There's a lot of spiciness coming through, but wow, what a beer. Let's get the rest of this can in the glass. I gotta breathe. I'm getting a bit lightheaded. Whew. Right. Look at that. Just juice. Juice, super fresh. Sometimes it's hard to put into words just how fresh a beer can be when you get it super fresh. It's prickly fresh. It's dynamic. The beer is alive. Even after drinking beers like this after a month or two, they still taste great. They really do. I understand that they might sit in a shop for a few weeks, and then by the time you get it home, you may go on a family trip, and by the time you get home, then the beer's 4 or 5 weeks old. You open it and it still tastes great. It really does. But there's something about crazy super fresh beer that just takes it to that next level. The best way to describe it, and the only way to describe it really, is that I've been to many breweries around the world, and I've drunk beer straight out of the fermenter. They're going, this beer it was ready yesterday, grab your glass, stick it into the fermenter, bang, have it straight out of the fermenter. And there's nothing quite like it. Beer doesn't really like to travel. It really doesn't. Straight out of that fermenter. It's just terrific. Absolutely terrific. And I'm not just talking about craft brewers. I'm talking Overtone Brewing Company here. I've not been there. I'd love to go to the brewery one day. But I'm talking about craft brewers, including Overtone Brewing Company. But in a sense that I've not been there, but I've been to Brewski and I've been to Magic Rock and all these wonderful places, and I've had beer out the fermenter, and there's nothing quite like it. And I'm going to even add a couple of the regional breweries to that list as well. And I don't want to cross-pollinate regional breweries with craft breweries too much, in case there's a lack of understanding. But what I want to mention is that I've been to Green King, I've been to Shepherd Neame, I've been to Brains. Where else have I been? I'm sure I've been to another big one as well. Wells and Youngs. I've been to Wells and Youngs, and I've drunk beer at their brewery straight from the fermenters, and okay, the head brewer said he's led me into drinking what he thinks that I want to drink. You know, he's not led me into like 3.5% ABV bitter out of a fermenter. But that's fair enough. They're not going to do that, are they? They're not, you know, they brought me all the way down from Wales. They're not going to stick me in front of their 3.5% IPA, are they? They're going to stick me in front of something a little bit special because they believe that they're still producing great beer. And at that brewery, at that very specific time, drinking that beer out of the fermenter, it tastes 10 times better than what I've had in a bottle that may have sat in a supermarket shop for 2 months. In fact, I'm going to go even further. I'm going to go even further and say that very quickly, because I know this is a different subject to what we're talking about now, but we're talking about fresh beer. Essentially, this is what this is, because it only came to me yesterday, and Daniel was talking to me about this beer only being packaged like a few days before. So this is essentially super fresh beer. So I think it's relevant in what I'm about to say. Green King's East Coast IPA. I've had so much stick on that video. So much stick. Even now, I on Instagram, people are saying, you gave a Green King beer 10 out of 10. So here's the story. I went down to Green King in 2018, and I drank, and obviously, I mean, as I mentioned before, all of these breweries do it. They want you to drink their beer in prime condition. Why wouldn't they? So I drank a glass of East Coast IPA. It went from the fermenter over there into their brewery tap, which was over there. It didn't have to travel far, and it was just tapped, and it was flowing. This East Coast IPA was flowing with hops, and it was terrific. It was terrific. It was hoppy. It was malty. I gave it a 10 out of 10. But then, on the flip side of it, Green King sent me that very bottle just a few weeks ago of their East Coast IPA that travelled from Green King in the bottle, travelled all the way up here. I had it for a week or two over Christmas. I drank it. I didn't review it because I've already reviewed it on YouTube at their brewery. I didn't feel a need to review the bottle version, but that bottle was, where I gave it at the brewery a 10 out of 10, drinking it fresh, by the time it got to me, I was thinking, drinking it, this is a 6 max. A 6 out of 10 max. So, yeah, it just goes to show. I mean, beer, super fresh. If you've not tried it, this is the message. If you've not tried super fresh beer, you haven't got to go far these days. A local brewery will be around the corner from you. Go there, try some super fresh beer, and it'll change your mind on tap rooms and brewery openings forever. Forever. You will probably spend your weekends going to Cloudwater or down in London, down in Colonel, just to drink their super fresh beer at source. Or whatever you had in Nottingham or Leicester or Birmingham or Cardiff or Newport or Bristol or Edinburgh or Glasgow, where these guys are from. Go visit your local tap room and drink super fresh beer. That's amazing. That is, you can see it's amazing. Look at the lacing. It's almost kind of alive. It's like Frankenstein alive type of thing in this glass. It's amazing, amazing stuff. I promised to talk to you about what was on the side of the can. We did say earlier on that it was a Southern Hemisphere IPA. So the hops are indeed Galaxy, Citra, Topaz and Nelson Sauvin. So all of those hops are from either New Zealand or Australia. The malts are extra pale, Vienna malt, oats and white wheat. And the yeast is London 3. Ten out of 10. Stone the Crows, 10 out of 10. This is, I mean, Overtone. I can't think on the top of my head just how many good Overtone beers there are out there now. They've won some awards. Personally, I think they're Scottish, the Scottish version of Cloudwater. Whether they like that or not, I don't know. I'm just giving my opinion. They're like Scotland's version of, I was thinking Verdant, of Verdant and Cloudwater. Brilliant. Keep it up. 10 out of 10. Independent beer review. I've not been sponsored. I've not exchanged any money. I've just had some cans sent to me. I'm giving my honest opinion on this beer. 10 out of 10. Stone the Crows. Boom. Cheers.